This video is to explain how the file saving and file uploading works on AppWizard. Now, a file parameter works the same in AppWizard as a normal parameter. So it is basically a normal parameter, but it has two separate things that separates it from a normal parameter. The first thing is it can contain binary data. A normal varchar and everything like that contains character values only. It does not contain binary values, but in a file setup you want to upload an exe, a PDF, a PNG file, a JPEG file, and all of those are binary formats. So it's got specific characters in there that is not normal visible characters, and will look rather funny if you look at it as a varchar. The second thing that makes it special is that it carries a file name with it, and that would be the file name that you're uploading. So when I select a file to upload and it is my whole path .mypicture.png, that mypicture.png is actually carried with the file. The reason why that is necessary is when I receive the file, it is often necessary to know what type of file I'm receiving. Is it a PDF? Is it an image? Is it a text file? What am I receiving? So it's necessary to see that file name. Not necessarily that the person called it my picture or my favorite photo, but the .png or .jpeg or whatever at the end of it is very crucial for our use. So there are three functions that we make use of when we work with files. The first one is file name. Now that is exactly the same as an edit box or anything like that. You put it on a form and it will give you a little browse button. You click on it, you go select your file, and it'll put it in. It's got a name, parameter field, and that's the name that's going to contain your file. When you get to the other side, now when you get in your save application, you need to do something with this. Now remember that that is a binary file and it is usually huge. So you can't just use parameter to forward this to your next application. You can't use it as a parameter to redirect. You have to use it on the spot. When you use a redirect or just a parameter in a form or a link, what's going to happen, it's going to try and put it as part of your URL at the top, and it can't because it's a binary value. So it can't fit it in there. It's going to try, but it's going to be too big to fit. Your parameter link at the top can take a maximum of 250, and in modern browsers about 1000 characters. So it will never fit a 1 meg file or an image like that. So don't try and forward it, use it in an application. Save it. If you want to use it later on, just send the name through or doing something with it on that side. So the next one, we have two types of parameters. We have file save name and file save. So remember I said that the file parameter has two things inside of it. It's got the actual binary file and it has the file name. So when I just use the parameter, all it looks at is the binary file. So if I send this parameter as a varchar max to my store procedure, it's going to send the binary file to my store procedure. If I want to see the file name, I need to use file save name. So what file save name will do is it'll extract the name portion of that for me and put it into a parameter that I specify. So what I will have in my file save name is I'll have a place where I can put the name parameter. That is the parameter that's going to contain my name, and then I also need to specify the file's parameter. Where does it need to go look for this file? So that's the first part. The second part is now I need to take this binary file and save it somewhere on my server hard drive. Now that's where file save comes in. First thing it needs obviously is my file parameter. Where do I get this binary data that I'm going to put in? The second part is saving the file. Now something we have to realize is within AppWizard there are two paths. We have a URL path, which will be my AppWizard, whatever the case might be, /docs/ my file.png. Okay. Now that is set up based on the type of server I've got, but obviously that is not a physical file path that I can save it on. So what we'll have next to it is your physical path. Now the two are connected, but not always in a direct fashion. So my physical path will say, for instance, on my C drive, in my inet pub folder, in my documents folder. Okay, so and on AppWizard, depending on how it is set up, you will have a match between documents and doc or docs, and these two will be the same thing. So if I then save it, I will save it as my file.png. So this path here will correspond to that path over there. So the file save name that I'm going to put in is where I'm actually saving this file. Now this file name here doesn't have to be the same as the file name that was sent through to me. In general, that would not be preferable. You don't actually want to save it as that file name. The reason being, if I have a file that says my favorite picture and somebody else has a file that's my favorite picture, and I save it in the same folder, the last one saved is going to be the one that's there. It's going to overwrite my file because I'm actually saving with the same file name. So what we generally do when we build a file name is we don't use a name like that. We use something, a generic name, with then an ID number, and that ID number is my corresponding record where I want to link this file to. So let's say, for instance, I've got an employee and I want to link the employee's picture to a specific table. In my employee HR employee table, I will have an employee ID and I will have a pic type, which this is a varchar 10 for instance, and that will be an int identity primary key. So what I will do is in my picture type I will say, okay, he has saved it as a PNG, so I will remember that it's a PNG, a PNG type of file, and when I save the file over there I will use my employee ID. So let's say I'm on employee number 123, then that is what I will save it as. So 123.png will correspond to my employee's ID, so I'll put his ID in the name and I will then know it's the file type of PNG, so that he can upload a JPEG or a PNG or a bitmap or a GIF, doesn't really matter. I just save it in here. Obviously if this is blank, then I know there's no file uploaded, so then I will not try and show his picture. If there is one, then I will build my URL value over there based on the file name that I know it is. So I know it's in docs, I know it's prefixed by pic, and then I will look at here, my ID is 123 and my type is PNG. And then that is the picture that I showed, because that's the one that I've uploaded. Now this, I've used pictures as an example here. This works with any kind of file. A text file, a CSV file, a doc file, a PDF file, doesn't matter. That's why it's necessary to know the file name, to know that the person's actually loaded the correct type of file. And then I save it somewhere in a folder with an ID connected to it, which will then return my value. And that is why and how you upload pictures.